Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. Me and my family moved to the USA and started living with my dad when I was 12 years old, and now I'm 19. I'm originally from the South Asia region, i.e., the brown culture. My father worked here while my mother raised me and my older brother back in our home country. My mother had the responsibilities of taking care of my grandmother, so we stayed back. Yeah, we could have moved along with my grandmother, but she was really orthodox and said she loved her land and wanted to die looking at the sunrise here. And she did. It was just after the sunrise when she passed away. So, as my father was facing problems living all by himself and my mother no longer had to take care of my grandmother, we moved to America. And since then, we have been proud American citizens and love this country so much. Life was really hard to adjust to, at least for me and my mother. Here, the women were opinionated and stood their ground without taking any shit from anyone, at least in my community and school. Everything was different. I was fair skinned, so no one was racist until they knew I was a foreigner. But these incidents didn't happen that often, so I was all good, and slowly we started settling down. The thing is, when I came here and saw how the treatment of girls is better, if not the best, I hoped the way my mom treated me would change. Everyone has been really toxic to me, including my grandmother, father, and even my brother, who should be the starting the change in family. I wish my treatment was the same as my brother, but let's face it, regardless of which country's air you breathe, the values instilled inside the mind weren't going to change. I hate the way I was treated so lowly just because I was a female. It isn't about the special rights that my brother just got because he was born with a dick. It is about me not being treated with the love, care, and affection any other child deserves growing up. It is about me being treated poorly, like I had no speech of my own or any opinion to give. And every day it killed me. Every single day it killed me. And I hated the way I felt so powerless and trapped. And I still feel that. In brown households, you are supposed to be here till you are married off to someone and that you can't choose the person that you like, but have to agree to whatever your parents and people older than you think is the best for you. And when they say the best, they only check about the money the guy earns, and beyond that, the talks of romantic and sexual compatibility is just a no go. You can't say no to what they want. If you do, you'll be called ungrateful, and the money they have spent to raise you is wasted, and you are declared as someone equivalent to a terrorist. In any way, there is no way out, and the only way is grow up and block everyone everywhere, or maybe there is another. It is commonly known as death. But I just am not suicidal enough for that, so I will pass on that idea. The cutting off idea sounds good, and I know if this one blows up, that's what everyone will suggest. I am 19 and I can't afford it. My parents pay for my college tuition and I go to Ivy League yeah, it's expensive. And they are the most logical way for me to never get into a college debt, and the system is broken. Basically, I am just done with everyone and mentally exhausted from everything. The pressure in college is huge, and living here is worse. I never thought I would be sobbing here, writing a Reddit post being all wrapped in my blanket because if my mom finds out I had alcohol, she will freaking murder me and throw me out of the house. I never thought I would be sobbing here, writing a Reddit post because all wrapped in my blanket because if my mom finds out I had alcohol, she will freaking murder me and throw me out of the house. I have no job. It's not that I'm lazy, but I am restricted from having a job or living in dorms. The only thing I'm only able to do is go to college, study, and return home. And why do you ask? Because someone assaulted a woman and now they are scared that I may get assaulted and no one will marry me if I am an assault victim. And now let's get to the reason why we are here. My mother and I went for lunch today with four of our other brown mothers and daughter living in our apartment. We are all really cool with each other. I'm not allowed to hang out alone, so my friends made this into a mother daughter lunch date. That way, we could all spend time with each other, and after that, they thought they would try convincing my mother through their mothers to let me out and hang out for a while after the sun would be down. We all met up at a local restaurant and decided to have some Italian food because we all eat homemade Indian food, and there aren't many options either. That was my mom's first turn off, and she started her old patriotic and nostalgic talk about our country's greatness, all while ignoring how high the crime rate generally is in our great country and how literally no one except men have any rights. This is what one of my friends tried to explain to her and said it's okay to have flaws, but instead of hiding them, we should find them and work on it. And my mother got triggered and started throwing intentional and indirect shade on how she shouldn't talk back when the elders are talking and how westernized we all have become. And when all my friends and their mothers matched her energy and tried showing her the truth and light, she started talking about how badly their mothers have done their upbringing. Like, she didn't say it directly, but started talking about some non existent sister she had, where she also lives abroad and has completely modernized her kids. Here, she has no cousin sister like that, and she is just telling this story metaphorically to indirectly throw shade to the other moms who supported their daughters speaking up for themselves to my mom. Here, where it gets worse for her. She already has this toxic woman image, and now she starts talking about the harsh upbringing that my family put me through to discipline and how through it I never got into trouble, got into the best college in the States, and how I have remained pure for my husband. For someone reading this who still thinks it mustn't be that bad for me, let's have a peek into my childhood back in my home country. I was able to go to school but was prohibited from learning dance or music because it wasn't what classy people did. And whenever I showed interest in those, my grandma called me a prostitute in the making. My mother never spoke up for me but supported her. I was not allowed to have any guy friends and was taught to give my life for my brother. If he wanted my toy, I was supposed to give it to him, no matter what. And he knew my condition and decided to exploit me. And if I didn't, he would hit me. And it would be okay because he is my brother and a man. Everything he did was okay, and no one would bat an eye to that ever. After moving to the States, it remained pretty much the same and worse. The more I grew up, the more restrictions I faced. At one point, I wasn't even allowed to wear whatever I wanted, even at 14 years. I wasn't allowed a pair of shorts outside my room because I have two men, i.e., my father and my brother, in my house, and I shouldn't be showing my skin off to them. It was all scary, and seeing my mother take pride in doing this to me just broke me. And for others, my friends were just staring at me with pity, and the friend near me held my hand throughout. And when my mom realized she messed up and started defending herself, but at that point she knew that was of no use. And after an awkward laughter, we all went our ways. My friends were blowing up my phone and asked me to meet them on the apartment lawn so we could talk about my situation. And if I went today, my mom would catch that I would be talking about this and won't let me get outside. And that's it, honestly. Nothing has happened that would change my situation, and let's see what happens after I speak with my friends. My mom let me out of college today, and now I am on the bus returning home. I met with my friends in a cafe near my college and we discussed my situation, and they gave me my much needed hug. And we have come up with a plan to help me escape this whole thing. Thank you all, the words of support and encouragement. I am finally able to leave this household where I am never respected or treated like a human. I am leaving. Not now, but soon. I have a plan, and I don't want to reveal much because in my culture, it's believed that it jinxes it all. So I will try my best and catch you all in a few more months. God, it's been so long since I made this post, and now I can give you all every detail. And just to calm your nerves, know that I am moving out like in one day. Everything is set. I have found a place, and let me reveal my plan as 90% of it is already executed. Basically, I got myself three jobs, one online, the other in a cafe near my college, where there is no chance of my parents or brother finding out, and the other in the library. This sounds specific because it is, and everything had to be planned. So I have worked for like 8 months now and saved every penny of money. And now that my parents have given my whole tuition, I don't have to worry about it. And now I will be a free bird in a few days. I know my parents will search for me, but I will think about what we can do later. I have a place rented, everything sorted, a second-hand car I bought, and secretly got my license, and from now, cheers to the new life. Okay, it will be a small update because I don't want everyone to be left wondering. I have moved out. Stealing my documents was hard, but I have played this field before, and all my friends' parents have my back, and they all support me in this decision. I sneaked out, obviously, and they have tried searching for me, but my friend's father, who's a lawyer, took care of that. New life is hard financially, but paying with my mental health sounds much worse. And they are all gone from my life, and life has gotten so much better. The way I relate to each and every part of this post, and this is definitely a clear indication that yes, the most toxic people in your life are sometimes your own family. Yeah, they gave birth to me, but I didn't ask to be born, so shut up and do your job that you signed up for. Wow, I'm glad that I was fortunate enough to grow up in a good household, and no child deserves this kind of treatment. Run away from them. For context, I, 19 female, am a child of divorce. My parents, 41 male, 40 female, have shared custody over myself, my brother, 17 male, and my sister, 15. My dad remarried once and had two daughters. My mom remarried and had three children. The youngest one only recently, 4 months, female. I'm way closer to my mom than my dad. I supported her through everything, and I'm always there for her whenever she needs me, even on the days I'm not at her house. I drop everything I'm holding just to help her. Lately, it's looking after my baby sister, and I'm starting to feel it's taken a huge toll on me mentally and emotionally. My mom has a lot of errands to run during the day, and she would leave me for hours at a time with the baby. A few weeks earlier, my mom was gone all day and I tried to make lunch for the family. I wanted to make burgers, fries, garlic bread, and prepare some corn. It sounds simple. However, the baby kept on crying and I was making so many mistakes that I butchered everything and I broke down. Just last week, my mom had a small operation out of town and decided I should come with her to watch the baby, even though my stepdad was going. We went on an 8-hour drive, stayed for the night, and for a majority of the time, I was caring for the baby while my mom was out of it. In the car, it was impossible. I was so tired. I tried to sleep even though I was obligated to care for the baby. And I just know my mom got pissed at me for it. I also stayed the night at my mom's when we came back to care for the baby for an extra few hours. Then, 2 days later, I looked after the baby while she had a few appointments with some clients. Now my mom is telling me she has an exam on Wednesday, a 4-hour long exam which she couldn't miss. I told her I had my first appointment with my personal trainer that day and I couldn't watch the baby. She told me I was going to have to cancel. I gave her attitude again and she snapped at me, telling me she wouldn't force me if I didn't want to. We were fine for a few more hours until I sat in the living room and this discussion carried out. Mom, oh my gosh, why did I decide to have a baby? Me, I don't know, Mom. You tell me. Mom, laughing. She really wants to spit in my face right now. Come on, I thought you were her mother. Me, it was fine when it was a joke, but you're taking it too seriously now. You're gone for hours at a time. Mom: I have commitments. You know this. You would go away even before you had all these commitments. The scenery changed with the baby, but not the situation. It's not my responsibility to parent her. Mom: So what if you're parenting her? I know she was really upset, and I heard her crying too. I didn't interact with my baby sister for the rest of the night, and my mom and I didn't talk. I completely shut down. I feel invalid as her daughter. I don't know how to go forward from here except ask if I'm TA for everything that's happened so far. Oh my gosh, NTA. You need to step back and create some distance so your mom goes back to being a full-time parent while you, willingly, fill in once in a blue moon. Honestly, I'd take a week-long break, if not longer at your dad's, just to unwind and decompress. Parentification is a form of abuse. I, 24 female, have an older sister, 30, who has been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes since she was 13. When she was first diagnosed, my mother would give her the medicine. She complained that it was embarrassing to have her mother come to the school, so my mother changed it to the school nurse. She complained once she was about 16 that she didn't like having her do it anymore. My parents decided to allow her to do it on her own, but then we found out that instead of taking her shot, my sister would just roam the halls or get food. She missed 1 to 2 shots every day for an entire year because she just refused to take them. After this was discovered, my parents put her into therapy because they wanted her to have someone to talk to about the embarrassment around taking her medicine. She stayed in therapy for about 3 years, but quit when she moved out. On her 20th birthday, she decided to go to an ice cream shop. She had 3 seizures. She had the first initial one in the ambulance and another in the CT scan machine. I remember walking into the room to her being restrained to the bed. It is heartbreaking seeing someone you love tied up like an animal. I can see the pain the seizure caused her. We all broke down crying, begging her to move back home. She agreed. After the seizure, we thought she was doing better. We bought a new fridge and we were cleaning out her old one when we discovered that some of her medicine had expired. For context, her medicine lasts 28 days refrigerated. She gets a new batch every month. It is very common for diabetics to run out of medicine, so for her to have multiple containers of medicine be over meant she wasn't taking her medicine. We staged an intervention. We told her we love and want her to be alive and healthy, and she promised to change. Then, when I was 17, I came home from school to find her having a seizure. This situation is still too traumatic to talk about. At 27, she had her last seizure and was put into a medically induced coma out of fear she would have another. After this, her vision declined greatly. Recently, my sister was told that she may lose her foot to diabetes. When she told me, I didn't react. Normally, I'm a big advocate of you never know a person's struggle, always show compassion, and things of that nature, but this time I couldn't. Since I was 12, I've had to watch my family beg her to take her medicine. We tried therapy, nurses, and everything else. She kept pushing the issue until I exploded and said that I can't give her sympathy in a situation we've repeatedly tried to stop. I don't have the energy to do it. I am 4 months pregnant. I can't handle the interventions, the lies, or just any of it. My mother and sister both say I am the a-hole because I should stick with my family. It isn't that I don't care, but it's just the fact that she won't change or listen. AITA? NTA, empathy fatigue is totally normal, even in situations much less self-inflicted than your sister's. You are not a bad person for being tired. Mom says this at lunch, and everyone just goes numb, and she realized she made a mistake, so tries covering it up, but it got even worse when